Weekly market review Saturday, today the 7th of June. So let's get into it. Let's get into it and look at what's going on. Okay, so let's start with Dixie. We'll do Dixie. So Dixie, let's start on the monthly chart. So we have a higher perspective of what's going on. So this big selling candle here will be exceeded. So you're going to exceed this big selling candle before you go up. But there could be a small move to the upside first. So let's step it down to the weekly chart. And the weekly, we've come down, we bounced, we've come back down. There is a dead crossing coming. So that dead crossing coming will pull price towards it. So we could go up for the next 2-3 weeks, possible, before we come down again and exceed this monthly candle which was formed here. So this monthly candle will be exceeded before we really get going. So I mean the interest box was hit for last week, so which is good, but I would still probably leave it there, because I think although the comeback comes to about here, 100 point maybe 2, so I'm a bit okay. Look, let's move this interest box into that zone to 100 here. Let's move it there. So that's our move to the upside, and afterwards I expect this to continue to come down and exceed this line here, 96. I think we'll end up probably at somewhere in the middle here, 94, but that's a long way to go. So that's what I'm seeing on the on Dixie. So let's move on to the next one. NAS 100. Let's start with the monthly picture, give us a better perspective, higher perspective. So I think last month I drew this box that I'd expect us to come into this box, and that's exactly what's happened. So we pulled back into this box, and we're going up. So the key here for me is volume. So we'll be watching next month's volume, this month's volume, to see whether that volume is slightly higher than this, to kind of give me an indication of where we're going. But the MACD on the monthly is ticking higher, so which suggests that this thing will keep creeping up. So this interest box will have to move slightly higher. I think I'll move it slightly higher here, and there. I think we will do here something like that. Double top. I think double top presumably is possible. Let's step it down to the weekly chart. So weekly chart, triple green. So I'd expect continuation to the upside. We're just touching the Bollinger Band, upper Bollinger Band. The KC channel is there. So I think, there's more upside to this. Step it to the daily chart and have a look at the daily. So we've engulfed this whole candle, which means I think we'll go up higher. I think we go up higher first before any downturn comes in. There is a golden cross which is incoming from here, and once this golden cross happens, then I would expect this to pull back towards these 200 EMA. So, but we're not there yet. So so that's the Nasdaq as well. Let's move on to XPX. XPS is also going to be very similar. XPS did not get into our area of interest. We didn't get there for last week. We came down, but we didn't get there. We've engulfed this whole candle. The only thing of concern for me, I guess, for the XPX is, when I look at the volume, when I look at this volume of selling, and I look at this volume of buying, pushing price up, that suggests to me there's some manipulation going on. There's definitely some manipulation going on. It's like, just trying to find one, but I can't find one to illustrate. But it suggests, I mean, if you have such a big selling volume, you don't go below it, and you just reverse all the way back, and the volume that takes you up is just not even, it's maybe half of this selling candle. That suggests to me there's some manipulation going on the XPS. So I think the XPS will go up as a result. It will go higher again. So we'll move our interest box up here, and let's go to the monthly chart. I'm going to have a look at the monthly chart here. So we need to move our interest box to the upside. I think we will go higher, and I think we'll go high and try to do maybe a double top into this box here. Yeah, I think, yeah, somewhere here into this box. Yeah, that's where I'd expect price to touch before anything in terms of downside. So that's the XPX. I think I better move this a little bit closer. It's too far away. Oh, I need to go back to the monthly then and go and look at my lower target. So I'd expect you to get somewhere there. Yeah, so that's it, and then bring it back here. So that's what I'm expecting on Nasdaq. I don't know. I wouldn't expect this to just go all the way back down yet, just yet. No. So that's the Nasdaq for you. Gold. Let's start from the monthly chart again. So we're forming a very bearish type of candle here. And again, you could see here, this is the big volume candle. And since then, we kind of been struggling. We tried to go up, we couldn't. And this month we're struggling. So I think potentially I'll get rid of this because I don't think we'll do a double top on this. I don't think so. So I think we'll continue to come down to about here. So which is about 3126, somewhere there. I think we will come back to that zone. So let's move this here. And maybe we got, yeah, somewhere there. I think we will probably touch on gold. If you go to the weekly chart, that is not a good candle. You know, we've got all this selling volume and, you know, we couldn't go up. We've been kind of brought all the way from the top here all the way down. This engulfs this. So, you know, more likely probabilities you come down to somewhere here, which is where the box is. So that's gold. I expect more downside on gold. Let's move on to, and I'm going to cover the VIX. The VIX continues to go down. Looking at it from the monthly chart, I think it continues to comes into the box. And I think, you know, this would be a very, very key point here. I think after that, we will get some really, really big moves on volatility, I think. But for next week, I'd expect this to continue coming down into the box. So that's the volatility index. Let's move on to dominance, Bitcoin dominance. Let's look at it from a monthly chart perspective. So this volume, this big volume, we will exceed this. We're not going to go higher on dominance. We're not going to go above 65 on dominance without exceeding this candle. It's similar to this volume here, you know, huge volume of selling, and you go down below before you go up, and I would expect the same for this candle here. Volume of selling is very big, and we are at the top end of the range. So, and you know, we've gone outside the KC channel 2 weeks in a row. So I'd expect us to cool off. So this month, for real, this month, dominance will collapse and come down for in the month of June. If we go take it back to the weekly chart, we are kind of creeping up, and we are creeping up with MACD down. The RSI divergences are still in play. You can see all the RSI divergences right from here. I get this up here, and then we can see. So right from this point here, you know, this is the highest point. We've gone up a few times, lower. This point is lower than that. We've gone up, then we corrected. Now we've been creeping up, and we've had a high point there, gone up, divergence there, and we're creeping up. So, you know, I think this definitely, the creep is not looking good because of the volume. So if you look at the volume here, so we had good volume there, lower volume, higher volume. Okay, next week you go higher, but now we've gone higher on smaller volumes. So that does not look good. The fact that we've gone higher on a smaller volume here. So I'd expect us to definitely collapse on dominance. And if we take it to the daily chart, you can see here, we do have like a head and shoulders here. So we do have something like a head and shoulders forming on this. And if it confirms by this breaking down, then, you know, measured move from here to there, put it from here to there, then that's what you'd expect. So I think dominance is going to cool off. It's showing, already showing signs of cooling off already. So let's see how the weekend plays out. But I think the month of June it will definitely collapse. And then let's move on to I want to do Bitcoin quickly on this one. So let's look at the CME Bitcoin chart, because that is a closed chart, and you can really do some proper analysis on it. So this one here, so obviously we had this candle which I knew would be exceeded, and we've exceeded that with this big selling volume candle that, and then quickly reverse back up. That shows some strength. That shows some strength, but the volume signatures are not as big as the selling volume. It doesn't mean we can't keep going up. I think if we'd closed above here, that would have been perfect, but we closed below it. So it's possible that we do a loop back. I think it's very possible we do a loop back. I just want to see if there's any interest candles that would attract us back down there. This goes 90,000. I think, at the end of the day, we are still above the middle of the Bollinger Band. This one here is the middle of the Bollinger. We closed above it, so we are still in a strong territory. We closed below the middle of the KC channel, which is the yellow. So we are in between, kind of, two key places here. Let's step it down to 4 hours. Go and look at 4 hours. So 4 hours, got big volume candle here, and then we've kind of gone in, but we've closed slightly above. I think this goes up. Based on that, this goes up. This goes up. So I'd expect this to go up. Now the reason why we've obviously had these key falls is on the daily chart. You can see there was okay, it's on the other chart. So it's on the other chart. So yeah, I think for me, I'd expect us to creep up on this. I think they will creep it up. But we also have to think about the other side. So if we don't creep it up, then we are looking at 95K between here, 90. So this interest box of mine got filled. So let me move that box and say, okay, here, put it here, tops here, 98K. I'll extend this a little bit to about 95K. I think somewhere there, if we come down, then that'll be my area of interest. Probability wise, I would say we creep up, but there's a very small chance. There's a 30% to 40% chance we come back here first before we go. So I think we have to be mindful of that. But we can definitely creep from here based on this candle. Like I said, if we had closed slightly, above here, I would have been very, very happy. But we didn't. So I think this one we can creep here. There's a probability there, but I based on the 4 hours, I probably would say we continue to creep up based on the 4 hours. So that's the CME chart. Let's look at the Binance chart now and see what's going on that one. So the Binance chart is on the weekly. Let's look at monthly first so we can see. So our monthly, we've come down all the way. If I make it bigger so you can see, I drew these boxes for targets, but it's okay, it's fine. So we've come into our box of interest. This was the box. We had a box somewhere here, 100,318, and price went all the way to 100,305. So not too far away from the target that we had on the chart. I think now we've done the kind of pullback. I expect this to go up. I'd expect this to creep up on this one. So let's bring it to the weekly chart, and the weekly we are forming kind of like very rejection candle. And if we close Sunday like this, then chances are you're gonna go higher, or even if you come down, you come back into this around 103 and then continue going higher. Very unlikely you exceed this candle with this sort of wick at the bottom. And then the daily. So the daily, as you can see, we're creeping higher. We're creeping higher here. So I think we'll keep on creeping higher on this. I think it will creep higher, but we may stay here. I think today and tomorrow, I think we will probably stay in this box. We'll stay here. Well, I mean, we'll probably go slightly higher, then come back down, then go back, something like that. But I'm watching this trend line closely because the moment we break the trend line, we close above it and reconfirm. So confirmation is important. Then, and of course, we will be going way higher. So it's looking good on the chart. I mean, we exceeded this one here, this interest candle here, 102.038, 100.305. So we exceeded that, and 106. These candles have all been exceeded. So those were my interest candles for a pullback. They've all been exceeded. So there's nothing else really left. It's got to go up. So that's what I see on the daily chart. On the 12-hour chart, there is one here. So there's an interest candle sitting here at 95K. So that will be the next battleground. If for whatever reason we come down, then that would be the area of interest for me. So which will bring us to somewhere here. And I think we're probably then looking at somewhere here. Could end up at 90. So if we just move this to that place here, and that becomes an area of interest for us. So but last week's area of interest has been hit. I don't want to move the boxes because the boxes are quite important on this chart. So yeah, definitely I think, yeah, there's an opportunity for Bitcoin to continue creeping up, but there's a small probability that we kind of get into this zone here. So I'm not going to rule it out. We could do something like that before going. So I think it's very important to be aware of that. But so far, so good. And if you go on the 4-hour chart, you can see that we're trying to break the 200. So if the next 4 hours we close above the 50, this 50 EMA, I think is the EMA. Yeah, if we close above the 50 EMA, currently we've kind of seem to be confirming the 50 SMA. We kind of be confirming that. So if we close above the EMA, 50 EMA, and confirm, then I think we'll be going higher. So I think that will be what I'll be looking for. I mean, you could also see that the 50 might be crossing the 200, which is like a dead crossing coming. So if that dead cross does happen, then chances are we've rallied into the dead cross and we're going to now dump. This candle is a candle of interest. So probability at some point will come below this candle, 102.163. So there's a probability will come below this candle. So I'll be watching that. If there's a break in the move up here, then we'll be coming below that. But if we don't come below this 100.305, then wherever we get to, this becomes the area of interest for any pullback. So if you get to say 125, 124, wherever we get and we start pulling back, this will be the area of interest. So it's possible we exceed this before we go, but that will be confirmed. I think in the next into Saturday into Sunday, we'll know. We know whether we'll be coming below this or going higher. But the probability of us going higher is very high based on the higher time frame, unless this candle is messed up, and by Sunday, let's say we close somewhere here. If we close somewhere here, like if it's red and the body of the candle is somewhere here, then chances are you're going to go towards that 95 zone before we go up. So all depends on how this weekly candle closes tomorrow, but the probability of it closing like it is very high. If you go to the CME chart, you can see how it closed. So they closed CME chart. Where is the CME chart? You can see on their weekly chart, they closed like that. So I would expect us to have something similar on the perpetual charts for Bitcoin. So I think for me, the upside is more probable than the downside, but we have to always be mindful that we could be coming all the way down to 95K before we go. So that's it for the coins I want to review today. And we'll do an altcoin video tomorrow. Do a proper altcoin video tomorrow. Okay.